ladies and gentlemen, System President Dr. Monty Sullivan.
The change has gotta come. You know, and I know, you know that, I know, and you know, honey, that a change is gonna come.
Thank you very much. It is an absolute pleasure to be with you this morning. How about a round of applause for the man on the mic, Jimmy Sawtelle, delivering the music this morning. Getting things started with a little bit of Otis Redding, right? How can you not be excited about that? A little bit of Otis Redding. But it is an absolute honor to be with you this morning in what is my first opportunity to talk with you and to share some thoughts with you as your system president. I'm honored and humbled to stand on this stage in front of you. First of all, let me begin by acknowledging a couple of groups in the audience today. First of all, our Board of Supervisors. Would you please stand, those members who are with us this morning? I want to acknowledge the work that you do and the commitment you have to our colleges and students. Thank you. Also want to ask those members of the leadership team from the colleges if you will stand, chancellors and directors. How about a round of applause? Thank you. You know, we may have to work on that a little bit. We had some that were way in the back this morning. You know, we got to talk to those guys. Also, I would like to recognize a group that we've had an opportunity to recognize here on stage, a number of our sponsors. But those members of the audience this morning who are sponsors, would you please stand? Give you a big round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. You know, folks, we absolutely could not put together this conference without those sponsors. They are critical to us being able to put together such an event. Let me also take a moment of personal privilege to recognize someone very special to me in the audience today, my wife, Kelly. Thank you for being here. You know, the truth be known, as much as Jimmy Sawtelle may be pushing play today, she's probably the cause behind this morning's theme music, truth be known. Thank you. You know, let me begin this morning by saying that I have had an opportunity over my career to get to know many of you and work side by side with you. And as we've had those opportunities, I've gotten to know you, you've gotten to know me. And one thing that I suspect that you probably know about me is that I'm pretty passionate about what we do. And so one of the things I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about today is why. Why is it that there's so much passion welled up inside of us for what we do? You see, I tend to believe that goes back to the core of who we are. You know, there are nearly 2,000 people in this room this morning. How about a hand for that? 2,000 people at this conference? Wow. Nearly 2,000 people in this room this morning. I want you to think about the stories of each of you, your personal story, why you do what you do every day. Why do you get up and go to work every single day and do the work that you do? I want to share a little bit of my personal story this morning, not because my personal story is particularly important, but because it gives you some sense of who I am and why I am so passionate about what we do. You see, like many of you, I grew up in small town Louisiana. Neither of my parents went to college. My mother graduated high school, worked hard all of her life. My dad attended, for some of you from Northeast Louisiana, you're going to get this. For others, I'm going to have to explain. He attended the University of Epps. Now, the folks from Louisiana Delta are laughing because they know that Epps is a red light, okay? The truth is, my dad quit school in the 6th grade. I said 6. That'd be about 12 years old, right? You can do the math? 12 years old. He quit school in the 6th grade at 12 years old to go to work to provide for his family. He was one of 13. Now, that story is not altogether unusual, right? We have lots of folks in this state who lived through those kinds of times. College was not within their vocabulary. He didn't learn about the University of Epps until years later, right? His point, though, was that he learned the lessons of life at the University of Epps. So fast forward. My dad goes off. He works like many of your parents have. He never went back to school to get the high school diploma. But I tell you what he did do. He attended one of our colleges many, many years ago and earned his first credential. Today, he has a room at his house that would be absolutely filled with the certifications that he's earned that have made him a living, that made a living for a family. Now, so when we talk about credentials, when we talk about the importance of skill sets, you think it's not important to me? It's important to me. I lived it, as many of you have. And so there were a few lessons that I'm able to take from my parents, just as many of you were able to take from yours. There are about 3. The first is, there is absolutely no substitute for hard work. Get up every day and run as hard and as fast as you can. Number 2, skills are important. Know-how matters. Ingenuity matters. Doing things differently than others. Being the best at what you do. It matters. And the third piece is that people matter. You know, there's a proverb, 27:17. Anyone know it? I know my good friends from Delgado. Where you at? Where you at? Some of our English faculty would say right between the A and the T, right? Where you at? Proverb 27:17 says, as iron sharpens iron, so must men sharpen men. Think of that for a second. It is our responsibility to mankind to do right by others, to sharpen one another, to educate one another, to skill one another, to provide opportunity for one another. People matter. And so with those lessons, I had an opportunity to go off to college, something my parents didn't have the opportunity to do. And so I arrived at Louisiana Tech, and for a whole day, truth be known, an entire class meeting, less than an hour, 30 minutes maybe, I was an engineering student. Didn't take me long to realize that that probably wasn't for me. If there's any engineers in the room, I apologize on the front end, okay? Engineering was not for me. Instead, I enrolled in political science, only because that very morning I'd had a chance to see a faculty member stand on the stage and so passionate about what he was delivering to us. And so I enrolled in political science because he was passionate about what he did. Now, I completed that political science degree, and I have to tell you, it didn't do a whole lot for me. When all was said and done, like many of the bachelor's degree completers in our state today, we have so many folks who complete and can't find that first job. So, like many political science majors, I went off to law school. And I'm sure we have some lawyers in the room today. If Leo's in the room, he will really appreciate this. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks in law school is all it took. Now, I tell my attorney friends that I was a bit brighter than most attorneys because it only took me 2 weeks to realize that I did not want to practice law. But you know, when all was said and done, engineering school was not an option for me. Law school was not an option for me. I had to find what was the right option for me. And so like many of us, we go back to our roots of what is it that drives me. And so somehow, by happenstance, I have to say, this business found me. Because it's a place where hard work is recognized. It's a place where hard work is valued. If you had an opportunity to hear the CEO from Snap-on Tools last night speak to you, you'll remember what a great message. Hard work has to be valued in this country once again. Skills have to be valued in this country once again. And people are important. So those 3 things led me to this career in education, focused on people. And somewhere along the lines, I have to tell you, I fell absolutely head over heels in love with the mission of community and technical colleges because it was so much core to who I am. And so I tell you this story today to simply say to you, my motivation comes from within. My motivation comes from my upbringing and the core of who I am, as I suspect it does for each of you. And so we have a great deal in common. We share a state. You know, there are people who come from all over the world to this state and celebrate the uniqueness of who we are. We have something very special. A people who are very special right here in Louisiana. I'm proud to call it home. Enough of the story. Let's talk about some accomplishments. You know, the last decade, some of you maybe were here at this conference in 2004, right? In 2004, what did this conference look like? You know, we probably could have held it right here in this section. This section right here would have held the entire conference. Today there are 2,000 people, all focused on improving the lives of the people of Louisiana. Boy, if that doesn't get you fired up, I'm not sure what does, right? Over that 10-year period, we've had legislative triumphs that have brought people from around the country to this state to say, how in the world have you changed the landscape of transfer? How in the world have you developed things like the Workforce Rapid Response Fund to target dollars and resources toward the needs of the state, the needs of industry? How have you brought nearly $500 million in new construction to community and technical colleges across the state? Tremendous, tremendous wins. But all of those wins in policy, in resources, they are all but a means to an end. A means to an end. So what is the end? The enrollments that you see at your colleges. 100,000 people that are served by our colleges every single year. But it's not just about the enrollments. Let's talk about completions. More and more every single year, we're seeing students walk through the doors of our colleges and across our stages with that credential that will put them to work. More Louisianians with a post-secondary credential, a college education than ever before because of the work that you are doing. Let's talk about individual college successes. Now look, when we talk about individual colleges, you got to let me hear you, okay? Let's start with, I know you guys are quiet and shy, so I have to kind of prompt you a little bit. Let's start with one of the more recent announcements. 4 of the nation's fastest growing colleges. 4 right here in our system. Let me begin with number 2 on that list, River Parish's Community College. Number 4 on the list, Bossier Parish Community College. And by the way, multiple times on that list, I think, over the last couple of years. Number 5 on that list, by the way, that would be 3 in the top 5. You get that, right? 3 in the top 5. Baton Rouge Community College. And finally, at number 26, South Louisiana Community College. Hey. You know, it's kind of interesting because every year when that list comes out, what do? We look for our colleges because they're all over the list. I have to tell you, there's another college that'll be there next year at this time. You want to know who it is? I can promise you Sewella Technical Community College will be on that list. With a 23% enrollment growth this past year. How do you deal with that? Colleges around the country are kind of looking at this going, where do you put them, right? We're finding ways, innovating, ingenuity. Not only are colleges growing in terms of enrollment, though, what's really exciting is that our colleges are also growing in terms of completion. Completion. We're having this national dialogue about completion, and right here in Louisiana, we have 3 colleges that had their largest graduating class in the history of the college this year. Largest graduating class. Delgado Community College. Bossier Parish Community College. And South Louisiana Community College. All 3 of these institutions with their largest graduating class in the history of the college. Beyond that, we are connecting with industry in ways never seen in the state. We have now 4 separate centers of excellence that have been designated by our Board of Supervisors. The first, beginning with Baton Rouge Community College, with their Transportation Technology Workforce Center of Excellence. Congratulations to that college. At Fletcher Technical Community College, the Workforce Center of Excellence in Oil and Gas Production. By the way, for those of you who may be in the area on March 21st, get down to Fletcher Technical Community College for a ribbon cutting on a building that will support the work that's going on here, with an invitation list to rival any Grammy party you've ever seen. I don't know who's responsible for the list, but I got to tell you, they got quite a Rolodex. From Governor Bobby Jindal to Olympian Lolo Jones. I'm not making this up, guys. This is serious. Good stuff. Just this week, yesterday in fact, Delgado Community College has 2 separate Workforce Centers of Excellence approved. One in advanced manufacturing, one in the culinary arts. You're here. And if you'd had an opportunity to be at that board meeting, you would have seen some of the industry leaders in advanced manufacturing at the table, side by side with college representatives. If you'd been at the table, if you'd been in the room to see the culinary presentation, you would see some of the biggest names in the culinary industry talking about the importance of culinary education in the city of New Orleans and the greater region. Important stuff for us to connect with industry. So as we continue, we also have had tremendous success of late in competing nationally for resources. Trade Act applications, funding at a level that I don't think any of us would have expected a few years ago. In areas like IT, in river-related industries, in advanced manufacturing, in entrepreneurship, hospitality. You've done a tremendous job. In one of our colleges, just down the road, I have to point out one of the programs that I have been most impressed with over the years that I've had a chance to get to know the colleges and the campuses. South Central Louisiana Technical College. One of the most productive programs, not just in our system, not just in Louisiana higher education, but in the nation. The process technology program there was a time a few years ago when it was producing about 100 graduates in process technology. I just want you to pause for a second and think about that. 100 graduates in process technology. Can you imagine the impact that that program has on people's lives when they leave the program and not 95%, but 100% are hired, typically within about a 20-mile radius of the campus, by some of the biggest names in the business at salaries that are above $55,000 a year. Think of that for a second. So I get a call from a legislator recently. I know the program quite well. He calls and he says, I've got a real challenge. I live in Ponchatoula. I have constituents who want to enroll in this process technology program from Ponchatoula. It's quite a drive from Ponchatoula to Reserve, right? Anybody made that commute on a daily basis? Kind of surprised me. And so I picked up the phone and I called the director there, Earl Metter. Earl, what's going on with our program? I'm getting calls from legislators. We don't have space at the end, right? And he says, we've grown the program from 200 students to now 400 students. I don't have any more seats at the house. What do I do with them? That's the story of what's going on at our colleges right now. It's a great problem to have, but it's our responsibility to be more innovative than ever before and to find ways to serve the people of Louisiana. Moving on with college success, when the nation turns its eyes to the city of New Orleans for the NBA All-Star Game, who do we have right there courtside providing technical support for the folks that are beaming that game out, not just around the country, but around the world? IT students from North Shore Technical Community College. How about that? We also have a one-of-a-kind program at Louisiana Delta Community College. One of a kind in the sense that it has taken an entire industry, a sector, the police and law enforcement sector, and developed an academy, the North Delta Police Academy, that is now has a strong working relationship with Louisiana Delta Community College. Good job to that organization. And an entire set of successes in the facilities realm, with River Parishes Community College receiving donations of over $100,000 for the facilities. If you were at yesterday's board meeting, another $30,000 to name classrooms and conference rooms. You have Central Louisiana Technical Community College who is spearheading a revitalization effort in downtown Alexandria, an area that has been depressed for so many years. Can you imagine taking 1,000 or more students downtown Alexandria? What will that generate in terms of the economic impact in that community? Exciting. And to my good friend, Chancellor Tommy Warner. Where's Coach this morning? Let me tell you, this gentleman, 9 years after the event that was Hurricane Katrina, breaks ground on a facility on that campus. What a historical day that must have been. And of course, sort of the home of where most of this Act 391 work came from, the first version of our facilities effort, Minden, Louisiana. The Northwest Louisiana Technical College Minden campus. What a fabulous structure that campus is. So I say all of this to say you have done an extraordinary job. You have changed the face of Louisiana. From Benton to Chalmette, from Bastrop to DeRidder, from your hometown to mine. We have changed the state of Louisiana. Do you know that? But you know what? Our greatest accomplishment is not in buildings, it's not in programs, it's in the lives of the students that we have changed. We have changed lives. We've sharpened the metal of the people of this great state. We are known as a state that is rich in natural resources. We are positioned perfectly along that big river. We have oil and gas. We have reserves. We are special in so many ways. But our most important natural resource, it's none of those. It is our people. And our responsibility is to mind those people. It's to sharpen those people. It's to educate the people. It's to train people in the great state of Louisiana to improve the place that we call home. That's our responsibility. Now, with that said, we can stand here and have great conversations about all the good stuff that's going on in Louisiana. But we have resource challenges. We have resource challenges. Never before have our colleges been more strapped than they are today. We have greater expectations for the work that we do than ever before, but yet our resource base has eroded. More and more what's happening, our colleges have fewer resources from the state of Louisiana and more resources coming from students. And so the very students that we seek to help, the very students that we seek to train and educate are expected to pay more. And so the burden falls upon us to ensure that what they're buying has greater value tomorrow than it does today. Never before have the expectations for the work that you do been greater than today. So as we think about this challenge, where is Louisiana today? As much as we may be resource strapped, let's remember one thing. It's not about us. It's not about our colleges. It's instead about the people of this state. It's about the communities that have needs. That is our responsibility. And so while we pause for a second to celebrate all the accomplishments that we have, we could go on forever. Our list is long. We have challenges on the horizon, but let me tell you, nobody in this country, and I would dare say the world, has more opportunity than what exists in the great state of Louisiana right now. Now, you've seen media reports of the great economic boom in Louisiana. There are companies from around the world that are investing right here in our great state. Billions of dollars are being brought to our state. And along with that economic boom come reports of a need for a much broader workforce pool, a deeper skill set for our people. And in every one of those reports, it does not say we need more political science majors. It does not say we need more attorneys. It does say, however, we need more construction trades workers. We need more healthcare workers. We need more welders. We need more process operators. We need more. We need more. We need more of what Louisiana's community and technical colleges do for the state of Louisiana. So have you ever known a time when the expectations for our work is greater than it is today? I haven't. We've seen businesses like IBM just down the street, a few blocks from here, invest in major resources in the state of Louisiana. We see Sasol in the Lake Charles area. We see GE Capital in New Orleans. Now, we have Bentler Steel up in the northwest part of the state. We have huge investments that are going on all over Louisiana. Why do you think organizations with lots of resources are investing billions of dollars in Louisiana? There are a couple of reasons. We have some resources. We have natural resources that are important to the operations. But trust me when I tell you, they would not be investing in Louisiana if they didn't believe in the work that you do every day. They would not be spending billions of dollars if they didn't believe that Louisiana's community and technical colleges can and will deliver the workforce of tomorrow. Those are heavy, heavy expectations. Now, our graduating classes are growing. There's no question about it. But I want you to think about this. In the next 3 years, projections are that we need 20,000 additional graduates in high-demand, high-wage fields. 20,000. Now, we all know that it's fairly easy for us to teach more history courses, more English courses, right? All of those are important parts of our mission. We have to continue to get better in those areas as well. But we have to be able to target our resource to generate the graduates that the state of Louisiana needs. 217% increase is what it will take from where we are today. That's a huge, huge feat ahead of us. It will take us targeting resources in very specific ways to make sure that we deliver on that promise, to make sure that the people of this state are the ones who are working in those jobs, not license plates from Texas and Mississippi, or as I saw in my local grocery store the other day, Wyoming. We welcome people to come to our state, but don't you want your relatives, your friends and neighbors, to be the ones that benefit from this great economy? It's our turn. How many times have you seen the booms and busts in the great state of Louisiana? You know, I lived in Eunice for a while, and I'll never forget, within a few block area in Eunice, there were beautiful homes that during the oil boom were built with all the great fixtures, much larger than most of the other homes in Eunice. But guess what happened within a matter of 2 or 3 short years? They were sold for pennies on the dollar. And they were neighborhoods that were scarred forever because of the bust of the late 1970s and early 80s. I tell you that the bust that will follow the boom that we are currently in, it will be avoided by one group of people. It will be avoided by the people who are skilled and trained and able to survive in the economy of tomorrow. It's the work that you do today that will prevent the bust of tomorrow, that will soften the blow of the ebbs and flows that have plagued our great state for many, many years. It's our job. It's our responsibility. It is heavy, but it's our responsibility. There is no question in my mind that we are the right people to stand up to what I believe is the great challenge of our generation. The great challenge of our generation. To re-engage a population, to ensure that tomorrow is better for our kids, our sons and our daughters than today is for us. Now let's talk a little bit about the resources it will take in order to be able to meet that challenge. This past year, one of our greatest successes was the passage of Senate Bill 204. You know, that happened not because of anything that took place in Baton Rouge. You know, if we go down the street to that tall building, that's where the votes were cast. But the truth is, it was a grassroots effort by the people in this room that passed Senate Bill 204, to the dismay of many. Do you remember? the headlines. It was kind of fun, wasn't it? We liked that. But we liked it not because we won the contest. We liked it because truth matters. Truth matters. The people in that building understood where the state of Louisiana was headed. And that was that we need a workforce that is prepared for tomorrow. We needed the facilities within which to carry that out. Act 360 is not about buildings. It is not about facilities. It's about people, programs, and ensuring of the workforce tomorrow. Now, where are we today? I got to tell you, a year ago, when this bill was introduced, if someone had said we were going to have to raise 12% of the total match, some of us would have gone, not sure we can pull that off. $34 million is what's required in a match for $252 million in facilities. How much do you think we raised? We've only raised $18 million in the first year. $18 million. Can I get a hand for that? Now, what does that $18 million represent? It represents resources, but most importantly, it represents relationships with business and industry. It represents confidence of those same members of our community who are saying, we believe in what you are doing. We believe so greatly that we've pulled out our checkbook and we've written checks at every college across this great state to make sure that those facilities are top-notch, first-class, world-class workforce training facilities. So what about this session? Here we stand. Session kicks off on Monday. We had the opportunity to be together in today's, this year's 11th annual conference. And so always a lot of buzz around the Capitol. Things have kicked off. My good friend Tommy Williams is there every morning. He gives me great reports about what's going on in the big tall building as we refer to it. And I have to tell you, this session is really special in a couple of ways, but I'll focus on one. Because for the first time, we have a partnership with the rest of higher education, the other three systems, the Board of Regents, Louisiana Economic Development, the Louisiana Workforce Commission, and employers from across the state. That partnership is symbolized in Senate Bill 526, the WISE plan. The WISE plan. It is the allocation of resources in a very targeted way toward the very things that we were just talking about, producing tomorrow's workforce. Now, in the past, we have fell victim to a funding model that funds yesterday's workforce, yesterday's economy. The WISE plan is an opportunity to forward fund the workforce of tomorrow, to grow the resource base that will allow us to be able to produce the workforce of tomorrow. That's exciting because no matter how that allocation may happen at the end of the day, let me tell you, as long as we remain focused on the workforce of tomorrow, we will have new resources. We will have the resources required in order to be able to produce tomorrow's workforce. It is an exciting time. But it is most special that our brothers and sisters in the rest of higher education are finally singing from our sheet of music. We've been at this a long time, guys. Every year we have a common refrain. It's not about our colleges. It's not about us. It's about our communities. It's about our people. And finally, the WISE plan, Senate Bill 526, focuses on the people of the great state of Louisiana, focuses the higher education resource on our people. That's exciting. Our sheet of music is so compelling that others have picked it up and begun to clear their voice. And they're singing our song. It's interesting, though, to hear that our workforce requires more liberal arts graduates, but that's okay. They're our partners, and we're going to work with them. We're going to produce a workforce of tomorrow, and it's going to happen in our colleges. It's going to happen across higher education, but it's an unprecedented level of cooperation among higher education and among the other partners in the WISE plan. I ask each one of you, before you leave Baton Rouge, reach out to those folks that you know at the Capitol. Reach out to the people back home. Talk about the support that you have for Senate Bill 526. It is the beginnings of the resource base that will be required for us to produce on that great challenge. Now, want to close with one other piece. You guys came here today wondering, what direction is this new guy, this new president going to take us in, right? I want to kind of take you back, if we can, to a few comments in the earlier part of today's visit with you and tell you that it's real simple. Our future is about our students. Our future is about our people. I mean us, folks in this room. And it's about our relationships. Now, for the last 10 years, people have invested not millions, but billions of dollars on this thing that we call the Student Success Agenda. The Gates Foundation, Lumina, Kresge, Kellogg, states from around the nation have invested billions of dollars in trying to ensure that we are graduating more students. There are a few states that are doing what we're doing, which is graduating more students. Did you know that? It's not happening at the level that it's happening here in Louisiana. But I got to tell you, we have a unique opportunity to be able to solve the nation's Student Success Challenge. This is the laboratory. Our Louisiana, our people, our economy is the place where we can get it done. We will be focused on student success. Now, the second item, our people. We could run out, we could tell the world we're going to do great things in student success, but who does that? I got to tell you, it's not your system president. It's probably not even your chancellors or directors. It's the folks on the front lines every single day. It's the people with what I believe is the best job under the sun, faculty. When I say that, I say it because you have the most noble calling. You have the greatest level of responsibility. You get to walk into a classroom every single day, close the door behind you, a laboratory, and you get to interact with students with a hope and a dream when they came to your classroom of being something more than they were yesterday. And so I tell you, our responsibility is to invest in you. Our responsibility is to sharpen the metal of our own. And so one of the focus areas that we will have is on professional development, is on investing in our people. Raises aren't necessarily possible at every one of our institutions, but to the extent where they are, we've got to do some things. We've got to do some things in terms of salary. Professional development in a couple of ways. As soon as this session wraps up, you'll have an opportunity to be a part of the peer group meetings. Now, you got the salary piece out of the way, and everybody's like, let's go, it's time to head out, right? We're done now. But the peer groups are really important to us, and let me tell you why. For so long, we've thought that the answer to improving our business lies outside of the boundaries of the state of Louisiana. You couldn't be more wrong. For so long, we thought we need to bring in experts from the outside. Let me tell you, we got some experts right here in Louisiana. We got people that are darn good at what they do right here in Louisiana. And so let's provide a venue within which faculty from the disciplines can come together and talk about strategies and best practices and ways that things that work, things that don't work. How do we improve one another? How do we drive the success of our students? By improving the effectiveness of our delivery, by improving our skill set, by remaining on the edge, the cutting edge. This is what we must do in order to continue to be innovative institutions. Hard work, ingenuity, innovation. That's what we want to be known for. We have to invest in our people. We'll not only have those peer groups, but we also will reignite Leadership Development Institute. Many of you had an opportunity to participate. Many of you are in leadership roles today as a result of the work that you did in the Leadership Development Institute. We've got to bring back the sense of importance around leadership development. And finally, as the people of our organization invest in themselves by going back to get degrees, we've got to make sure that we provide the resources, the encouragement to make sure that they do that. Folks, we're in the people business. The third area, relationships. Let me start with the industry relationships. I've already talked a little bit about that. But I got to tell you, one of the most important relationships we have, arguably the most important relationship we have, is that we hold with local industry. We must strengthen those relationships, aligning curriculum, ensuring that our equipment is not out of date, making sure that we are delivering on the promise of the workforce of tomorrow. It's not about that industry. It's about our people. But I want to be sure that our people are the ones that are employed down at that local plant. We want to be sure that they're the ones sitting behind the keyboard at an IBM or a GE Capital. That's important to us. Those relationships are critical, and the resources they bring to the table are absolutely essential to our future success. Now, I want to pause for a second here because there are some folks in the room who look around and they read the headlines of the Advocate or the Times-Picayune or the American Press, and they don't see the same economic vitality around them that they see in other parts of the state. In particular, I'm talking to my friends in Monroe and Alexandria and some other places. The economy there is not as strong. But I want you to understand something. The economic boom that we are in today will require the people of the entire state of Louisiana, not just south of Interstate 10. That's where the jobs may be. But I promise you, we have to begin to think more broadly than just our region and our employers. It will take the people of the entire state and then some to answer the workforce challenges of tomorrow. The second part of our relationships is with the community. Our communities, they have become such that they expect us, as we find challenges, as they find challenges, that we are the solution. We find ourselves sort of dragged into some areas, right? We have to continue to be the solution, the provider of solutions for those communities, because it's about the people, it's about our communities. In closing, in a period of just over a decade, this system has fundamentally changed the lives of thousands of Louisiana citizens. Your work has been extraordinary. Yet I have to tell you, as great as the last decade has been, our future is brighter than our past decade. Our future is brighter. Tomorrow will be a better day than today in the state of Louisiana. And it will be greater because of you. The work that you do every single day in the classrooms as a result of the work that you do in those laboratories. Now, while we celebrate all that great success, we know that expectations for you and for me are greater than ever before. But you know what? I'm convinced that there's no group of people, 2,000 or 5,000, anywhere in this country, more up to the challenge than the group that sits with me today. I appreciate you. Thank you for the work that you do. I look forward to working with every single one of you as we deliver on the workforce of tomorrow. Thank you. May God bless you. May God bless each one of you, your colleges, the great state of Louisiana, and our nation. Thank you. Good morning.
I know, change has got to come now.